Hi and welcome to this walkthrough. We're going to take a look at the Krystal Rigify rig. Then we'll look at how to simplify the viewport preview so it doesn't become too demanding for Blender when we play back an animation. We are also going to look at how to enable and disable physics, because we're going to look at some cloth simulation and physics simulation for the necklace. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the Rigify rig, and as you can see we have a menu here to the right. We can press the N key to show and hide it, so if it doesn't show up, press N, so then it should be available. And down here we have something called the rig layers, and that's the Rigify rig layers. And make sure also for this menu to be visible, you have to have selected the Rigify object, and you have to also be in like pose mode or object mode, because if you have something else selected, the menu disappears, as you see here. So we have to select Rigify, rig, and we can also go to pose mode. And as you can see now, we have arm left and arm right IK buttons pressed, so that shows us the inverse kinematic. So we move the hand, the whole arm follows with it. But if we want to disable that, we just use the arm 4K forward kinematics, and then you will see we have some green bone objects that shows up here that we can move also. So we try to press rotate and move and see nothing happens. That's because we have to set it up. So we have to click on it, and we have to drag this slider IK to FK, so we drag and slide that, and now I press rotate and the arm follows. So remember to always do that when the arm doesn't follow in forward kinematic mode, or the other way around. So we always have this slider, we have to slide. And we move the other arm, we press G, the arms follows, but still the forward kinematic bones are not moving with it, so we have to click on for FK to IK button here, and it snaps in place. So now we can also switch and use the FK rotation. We can rotate, and we can remember to use the IK to FK slider. So I'm gonna rotate this, press rotate X, so move the arm forward. And the arm doesn't follow, but I have to enable this IK to FK like that. Right now I'm moving the IK shape and nothing happens. So I move the IK shape, nothing happens. Then I have to pull the slider IK to FK, so it switches to the IK again from the FK. So now I can move it around. You have to play around with this on your own, get a feel for how it works with FK and IK. And of course, if you want to rotate both arms at the same time, you just select both and you press R plus X. The other one won't follow. I'm gonna see what's wrong there. Limp follows. Now it follows. So it can be a bit tricky with all these sliders going on here in the menu. So you have to test for yourself, see how it works. It can be a bit confusing, especially in the beginning. So be patient. And then of course the same goes for the legs. Right now there is some IK on the feet. Stops her from going through the floor. And we can also enable them by pressing the leg IK buttons. Now they show up also. And the same goes here as for the arms. You have to switch between FK and IK and the other way around. But this is something I let you try on your own, so you get a feel for how Rigify works with the FK and IK. There's also a simple eye setup here, so we can move her eyes. And you can also move them individually, like that. There's also a jawbone we can open and close. Let's see if we can rotate it from on the right axis, like that. But otherwise, this is a very simple. I use this model mainly for just testing Mixamo to Rigify and how to combine the two to make her walk and do jumps and stuff. So this is not focused on facial animation. This is more for like the whole body mocap animation. So to move the fingers, we go to rig layers, we check fingers, activate that. Then we can press S and to scale the transformation handles. And that will rotate the fingers. And we can shift select several fingers and press S. We can use local here and rotate X. When you are rotating stuff in pose mode, make sure you are in global or local mode. Sometimes local works best for some rotations than global. You have to try for yourself and figure out what works best for you when you use rotate X, Y, and Z. But sometimes for fingers, I've noticed it's easier to use local and rotate X. If we look at render properties, we see that simplify is checked and max subdivision is down at 0 and texture limit is at the lowest. This will help the viewport render faster when we play back animation in the viewport. One thing to notice is that if I select the cloth and I go to modifier, you can see there's a mesh deform below the subdivision, and it says the vertices change from 5,633 to 1,455 vertices. So ignore that, because this is because we are bypassing any subdivision with the simplify here. So if I uncheck simplify here, go back to the modifier for the cloth, you will see everything looks okay. There's no warning. So that's something to think about when you're using simplify. So you don't think, oh, I must unbind and reset this and make it change the vertex count again. No, it's because you're using simplify, so don't be confused. I just want to give a note there. Here I'm in pose mode and I selected the Rigify rig and I'm in pose mode. You can see the skeleton has become colorful and I can select different Rigify limbs. And I'm also down here in the properties panel. I'm looking at the bone constraint properties, and here you will see here you will find all the constraints that I have attached to the Rigify rig. That's copying movement from the Mixamo rig. So using two rigs here. The Mixamo rig is the rig we're copying movements from, and to the Rigify rig. So you can select any limb and you will see there's different constraints being displayed here. We have damp track on this side. Her left side, I'm using damp track because it gives a better result in this case. For her other sides, I don't know why, but copper rotation didn't work so good on her left side, but on the right side copper rotation was enough and that looked good on her. So yeah, and I think you have to experiment what constraints works best when you're converting Mixamo to Rigify using constraints, because constraints can be a bit tricky, and in this case, damp track worked for her. For some limbs, like her left arm. The leg still is using just simple copy rotation, same as her right leg. So, and you can explore this model also. You can click on all the different bones, Rigify bones and shapes. You can see what kind of constraints are being used. I'm going to go through the constraint setup from a clean Rigify model also, but that's in another tutorial.